Hey guys, Miss Cairo here. This is math lesson 5-2. We're on page 168 in your activity book, and get your expo marker and your whiteboard ready as well. And the first heading on page 168 says experiment with 2-digit divisors and read the instructions with me. It says look at exercises 1 through 3. Would you round the divisor up or down to estimate the first digit of the quotient? And then complete each exercise using any method you choose. So take a look at numbers 1, 2, 3. We're going to be estimating the divisor. And then I'm going to be using the digit by digit method, in which we'll be dividing, multiplying, subtracting, checking, and then bringing down, and then repeating. So get your whiteboard ready with me, and we're going to do problem 1 together, and I'm going to guide you through how to complete it, and soon enough you'll be completing these on your own. So let's write it out. What I want you to do at the top of your whiteboard, so I'm going to be using this side of my screen as if it's my whiteboard. At the very top, do like a big thought bubble, like a big cloud almost. I saw that in one YouTube video with another teacher, and I thought that was really cool. Here's where we're going to putting where we will be putting all our estimating. So our mental math that we're doing in our head, we'll be drawing it out in this little cloud. And then underneath, let's draw out the problem 4,032 divided by 79. And make sure yours is neat, allowing a little bit of space in between your digits so that your place values are all set up correctly so that we arrive at the correct answer. Okay, does yours look like mine? Great. Let's take a look at our divisor in this problem. Our divisor, that's the number we're dividing by. And for this problem, it's 79. And so we're thinking to ourselves, 79 times what digit will get us something close to, and then looking at our dividend, we're going to have to decide what number are we trying to get close to. So looking at our first digit 4, let's underline that. Can we multiply 79 by something to get close to 4 without going over? No, we cannot make a group of 79 out of 4. That's not going to work. So let's continue our line over, and let's have it underlined to the 0 now. And now we have 40 underlined. Can we multiply 79 by something to get to close to 40 without going over? No, because 79 times 1 is 79. That's going to be too much. We can't subtract 40 minus 79, so that does not work. So we're going to have to keep on underlining, and now we have 403 underlined. Does yours look like mine? Can we multiply 79 times something to get close to 403 without going over? Yes. That's going to be a lot of work, okay? So in order to come up with this number, let's use estimation so that we can easily come up with a number in our head in which we can put our beginning number of our quotient above the 3 for 403. So let's estimate or round 79 to an easy peasy number so that we can use mental math. And since we're working with 79, the highest digit is in the tens place. Let's round to the nearest tens. What would you round 79 to? What about 80? Yep, it's 1 away from 80. That's the closest 10. And here's what we're going to do. Underneath 79, in parentheses, and nice and small, we're going to put the number 80. Okay. All right. So, and again, in our little thought bubble, we're thinking to ourselves, 80 times what gets us something close to 403 without going over? And then we're going to be using like our zeros rule. So if I have a 0 and 80, that means there's going to be a 0 in my product. So 80 times 1 is just 80. We have a ways to go. What about 80 times 4 is 320. I think we can go maybe one more up. What's 80 times 5? Yeah, 80 times 5 is 400, 40 plus 1 0 is 400. That gets us close to 403 without going over. That might work. So let's try it. Let's put a 5 above our 3. That's in our 10 spot in our quotient. And here's the tricky part. Remember, 80 was just an estimation. Now, our next step, we're going to be following the same steps. Oops, I thought, oh yeah, the same steps for digit by digit method. We just divided. Now we're going to multiply. What we're going to multiply is 5 times 79. And we can do this one of two ways. You can do it directly in the problem, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Or you can rewrite the problem so that, because since 79 has 2 digits, having that be on top times 5 set up vertically so that we can easily multiply. So that's one way of doing it. Let's do that on the side. Does yours look like mine? Write out 79 times 5. What's 79 times 5? 395. Great. Let me show you how to do it within the problem. So we have 5 here and then 79. 9 is in the 1 spot. So we're going to be multiplying 9 times 5 first. Remember, you always do the least, the digit in the smallest place value and then work your way over. So 5 times 9 is the first step, and we already said it is 45. The 4 is going to go above the 7, just like we did over here. And then the 5 is going to be in our quotient, or sorry, in our product. And where our product goes is underneath 403. So the 5 goes up below the 3. And then 5 times 7 is 35, plus 4 is 39. We said that over here. The 3 goes underneath the 4, and the 9 goes underneath the 0. So 395. So that's one of two. Those are two ways of doing it. Whichever way works best for you. This way might take some more practice, but once you get the hang of it, doing it right in the problem is usually tends to be easiest as long as you don't make errors. Okay, so the next step, we just multiplied. We're going to subtract. What's 403 minus 395? Well, we had to borrow. I borrowed 1 from the 40. Brought it over to make 13 minus 5 is 8. And then 30 minus 39 is just 0. So we have 8 as our answer. The C in our steps stands for check. What we're checking for is 8 less than 79. It is, because if we got an answer that was more than 79, that means that we could make one more group up here. So we always check after we subtract, can I make any more groups of 79? And in this case, no, we cannot. So then that brings us to our next step of bring down. We're going to bring down the 2, and now we have 82. We're asking ourselves, how many times can 79 go into 82? Or, with our estimation, how many times can 80 go into 82 about? So 80 times what gets us something close to 82 without going over? Well, what's 80 times 1? It's just 80. So that brings us close to 82 without going over. Let's try that. So a 1 is going to go in our 1 spot. And now we're basically starting all over. We just divided. Multiply. We're going to multiply 1 times 79. What's 1 times 79? If you need to rewrite it out like this, go for it. Or you might see anytime we're multiplying something by 1, it equals the other factor. So 1 times 79 is just 79. Make sure it goes directly underneath the 82. All your place values are lined up. And now we have 82 minus 79. Go ahead and solve. Three. Great. Subtraction done. Check. Is 3 less than 79? It is. We can't make any more groups. The next step is bring down, but we have nothing else to bring down. So that means 3 is our remainder. So now we have 51 in our quotient. R. 3 is what we're going to put. And there is our quotient. Let's write it into our books. 51R3. Really good job. Let's practice one more together, and then you're going to be sent off to do some a little more on your own. So let's erase. Okay, at the top of my whiteboard, I'm going to be doing that little cloud again. So I could put all of my estimation in. And let's draw out the problem number 2, 1,533 divided by 21. All right, does yours look like mine? Step number 1, we're going to estimate our divisor. Since we have 21 here, we're going to be rounding it to an easy peasy number so that we can do some mental math as we're dividing. What should we round 21 to? What would you round it to? We should round 21 to 20. So underneath 21, in parentheses and nice and small, put the number 20, and that will help us with our mental math. And now we're deciding about how many times does 20 go into 1,533. All right, so let's start off with the first digit in all the way to the left, and our dividend is 1. Can we multiply 21 by something to get less than to get less than 1 without going over? 21 times 1 is 21. That's going to be too much. So let's continue our line. Can we multiply 21 by something to get close to 15 without going over? Again, 1 would not work here because if I put 21 down here and I form a subtraction problem, we can't subtract 15 minus 21. So that's why we're always looking for times something without going over. It has to be less than this number that we're underlining. So that means we need to continue with our line. And now we have 153 underlined. This will work. Can we multiply 21 by something to get close to 153 without going over? Yes. This is going to be hard to figure out, and let's do some quick estimating and then go from there with our estimated number of 20. So in our little thought bubble, we're thinking 20 times what gets us something close to 153 without going over. 20 times 2 is 40. 20 times 3 is 60. We're going to have to keep going up. What about 20 times 7? Yeah, 20 times 7 is 140. 20 times 8 is 160. That might be too much. So let's try 7. So a 7 is going to go above the 3 in the 10 spot in our quotient. So we just divided. Now our next step is multiply. Remember, our true divisor here is 21. 20 is just being used to help us to estimate our division. So we're not going to multiply 7 times 20 and put our answer times here. That's just an estimation. We're going to do it real time now. So 7 times 20, 21. Again, if it helps you to rewrite it on the side like this, do it. Or you can do it within the problem like this. 7 times 1 is 7. And then 7 times 20 is 140, or 7 times 2 is 14. See how all my place values are correct? And how I was kind of saying, this is actually 7 times 2 is in the 10 spot times 20. Now we have 147 as our answer. Next step is subtract. Go ahead and try it. What's 153 minus 147? 4. Next step is check. Is 4 less than 21? It is. Next step is bring down the 3. Now we're starting all over again, and we're going to divide. We're dividing 21 into 43. We can use some estimation before we do that to help us out. I'm thinking to myself, 20 times what gets us close to 43 without going over? Go ahead and try it. Times 2. So 2 is going to go in our 1 spot. That hopefully will work. Let's see. Let's multiply. What's 2 times 21? And again, you might need to set it up this way or solve it in the problem. 2 times 21 is 42. Next step is to subtract. and we get 1. Next step is to check, is 1 less than 21? It is. And then that brings us to our last step, bring down. There's nothing else to bring down, so that means 1 is our remainder. So then our answer, or our quotient in this problem, is 72R1, or 72 remainder 1. Go ahead and write that in your book. Thanks for following along. Let's continue trying out some of these problems together.